In July of 2026, a company that most of Silicon Valley had already written off for dead released the largest artificial intelligence model the world had ever seen. It's called Kimi K3, 2.8 trillion parameters, built by a Chinese startup named Moonshot AI. And on the benchmarks, it went toe-to-toe with the very best from OpenAI and Anthropic. Now here's the part that made people sit up. America's top labs keep their most powerful models locked behind paywalls and subscriptions. Moonshot did the opposite. It announced it would give K3 away, the full model, free for anyone on Earth to download. Think about that. The single most expensive kind of technology humanity has ever built. The kind that cost billions to train, handed out like a free sample. And then on July 21st, the Treasury Secretary of the United States stepped up to a microphone and threatened to sanction it. This administration supports open source models, but what we do not support is IP theft. If we see that overseas models are stealing from our great companies, we have the ability to sanction them. So which is it? Did a near-bankrupt startup just pull off one of the great engineering feats of the AI age? Or did it quietly copy America's homework? That's the question this whole video is about. To answer it, we'll trace three things: how Moonshot came back from the dead, what its model can actually do, and why, even if the accusations are true, there may be nothing anyone can do about it. To understand why Moonshot took such a wild swing, you have to understand how close it came to the end. Rewind to January 2025. Another Chinese lab, DeepSeek, released a model called R1, shockingly capable and shockingly cheap. It sent a tremor through the whole industry. And among the hardest hit was Moonshot. Almost overnight, the buzz around its Kimi models faded. For about 18 months, it looked like roadkill on the road to the AI future. And then came one of the fastest corporate comebacks you will ever see. According to TechCrunch, Moonshot's valuation went from around $4 billion at the end of 2025 to 10 to 20 billion by May of 2026. With reports it's now in talks at a $30 billion valuation. That makes it the best funded AI lab in China, backed by giants like Meituan, Tsinghua Capital, and China Mobile. And its revenue tells the same story. The Financial Times reports Kimi's annual recurring revenue doubled from $100 million to over $200 million in just 2 months. But numbers on a balance sheet are one thing. The real shock was what the model itself could do. So let's actually open the hood. According to Moonshot's own technical report, Kimi K3 is a monster on paper. It's built as a mixture of experts. Think of nearly 900 specialist subbrains, with only a handful switched on for any given task, which is how a model this enormous stays fast. It can hold 1 million tokens of context at once, roughly a small shelf of books, all open in its working memory at the same time. And it doesn't just read text, it sees images, writes and runs its own code, browses the web and works as an agent. You hand it a goal and it carries out long, multi-step jobs on its own, with barely any hand-holding. And the demos Moonshot showed were genuinely eye-watering. The company claims K3 autonomously designed a working computer chip over 48 hours and chewed through a 2-week research task in about 2 hours. On certain coding benchmarks, it says its model substantially outperformed Anthropic's Opus 4.8. On a punishing web research test, it claims a score above 90% while juggling that entire 1 million token memory at once. And here's the kicker, it's cheap. Moonshot prices K3 at roughly $3 for every 1 million tokens of text it reads in, and 15 for what it writes out. And with its heavy use of caching, often far less than that. Analysts pegged the real-world cost at about half what you'd pay to run America's top model for work in the same league. But, and this is the part that keeps us honest, Moonshot doesn't claim the crown. In its own report, it admits K3 still has, quote, a noticeable gap in user experience compared with Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6. In plain English, astonishing. But not quite number one, a very close second, at a fraction of the price, built by a company almost nobody saw coming. And what Moonshot chose to do with that model is what truly rattled Washington. Because here's the one idea you need for the rest of this story. When a company like OpenAI or Anthropic builds a model, they keep the weights, the actual trained brain of the AI, locked away. You can rent access through an app, but you can never look inside. It's a closed vault. Moonshot did the reverse. It released its models as open weights, the entire brain published for free, for anyone to download, run on their own machines and build on top of. And this isn't charity. It's a weapon. When you give your model away, developers everywhere start using it, improving it, building businesses on it. It spreads. And every time it spreads, it quietly chips away at the paid, closed models coming out of America. By mid-2026, Kimi had become the second most used large language model on OpenRouter, a major platform where developers choose their AI. A Chinese model, given away for free, becoming one of the most popular on Earth. It was working, maybe too well. Because when researchers started looking closely at how Moonshot had pulled this off, the numbers stopped adding up. Building a frontier AI model is supposed to be staggeringly expensive. It takes vast farms of specialised chips, the very chips the United States has spent years trying to keep out of Chinese hands. So how did a Chinese lab, cut off from the best hardware, build something this good? That's the question independent researchers began asking. Kimi K3 seemed to punch above the computing power Moonshot said it had used. As reporting by the Decoder framed it, if a model really is trained on far less compute, that efficiency should show up in other places too. And some of the pieces didn't fit. Now, to be fair, plenty of serious people think this is simply a breakthrough. Mikkel Bakker, an AI researcher at MIT and Google DeepMind, looked at the results and admitted he was stunned. These results seem impossible to explain through distillation alone. He called the model, in his words, insanely good. But others weren't so sure. And to understand their suspicion, you need one word that runs through the rest of this story: distillation. Distillation is a real common technique. Picture a brilliant, expensive teacher and a bright new student who learns by studying millions of the teacher's answers. Done well, the student gets almost as good as the teacher for a fraction of the cost. It's clever, it's efficient, and it's everywhere in this industry. The problem is the accusation that Moonshot's teacher was American. This is where a mystery turns into an international incident. In February 2026, the American company Anthropic accused 3 Chinese labs, DeepSeek, Moonshot, and Minimax, of using its Claude model without permission to help train their own. According to the reporting, the labs allegedly spun up tens of thousands of fake accounts and generated millions of exchanges with Claude, quietly harvesting its answers. The exact figures are disputed, and none of the accused have addressed the specifics. Now, not everyone reading the tea leaves thinks Moonshot simply stole its way to the top. Another researcher, Ryan Greenblatt, ran his own tests and landed somewhere in the middle. Genuinely impressive, but catching up, not leaping ahead. Kimi's core model is around halfway between Opus 4 and Opus 4.5, so roughly 10 months behind Anthropic. But then came Besant's July warning, and the detail that lit up the room, that watermarks of American models had been found inside Chinese ones. And here's why this is far bigger than one company's reputation. If a Chinese startup really can match the best American models for a fraction of the price, partly by learning from those models, then it raises an uncomfortable question for Silicon Valley. The hundreds of billions American firms are pouring into training the next generation of AI. What if a rival can get most of the way there for pennies on the dollar just by studying the output? That's not only a national security worry, that's a threat to the entire business model of American AI. So Washington reached for the obvious weapon, sanctions, and ran straight into a wall. Here's the problem with sanctioning Kimi K3. Moonshot didn't leak it. It wasn't stolen. They published it, legally, for free, on the open internet, with the full model set to be downloadable by late July, which means it's already spreading onto company servers, research labs, and hard drives all over the world, including inside the United States. You can sanction a company, you can blacklist a bank, but how do you sanction a file that 1 million people have already copied? You can't unpublish it. You can't recall a download. As one analysis put it, an outright ban would be nearly impossible to enforce. So Washington is left weighing awkward half measures: blacklists, procurement bans, security warnings, legal liability for anyone who uses the models. And hanging over all of it, the first ever US-China talks devoted to AI set for September, with Besant leading the American side. Really, there are 3 ways this breaks. It's proven to be theft, and the sanctions land. It's proven to be genuine, and the accusation fades. Or, most likely of all, it can never be fully proven either way, and the model just keeps spreading regardless. Which raises one last, uncomfortable possibility. What if the loudest voices against Moonshot aren't really worried about theft? Because there's another side to this coin, and it deserves a fair hearing. For one, learning from other models is not some uniquely Chinese sin. American labs train on vast swaths of the internet, almost certainly including the outputs of each other's systems. And distillation sits in a real legal grey zone. Some scholars argue that learning from another model's answers may not be copyright infringement at all. And some of the sharpest criticism has come from inside America's own camp. David Sachs and Tim Kidaman, until recently the White House's top AI advisor, warned that the real danger isn't China. It's America regulating itself into second place. The leading closed labs want the government to eliminate their open source competition. His fear that cracking down on open models, even foreign ones, hands America's biggest closed labs a protected monopoly and slows the very innovation the country is trying to win. And China? It waves the whole thing away. At a major AI conference in Shanghai, a senior Chinese official, Assistant Foreign Minister Liu Bin, responded to the theft claims directly. Some countries hype up distillation. This is misguided and counterproductive. So, back to our question. Genius or theft? The honest answer is that it's probably both, tangled together in a way that may be impossible to separate. Moonshot is clearly innovating. It is also very likely standing on shoulders that aren't entirely its own. And the deeper truth is that modern AI is built on learning from everything that came before it. Which leaves us with the thing worth sitting with. We built machines that learn the way we do, by absorbing everything around them. And now we're startled to find we can't quite tell where inspiration ends and theft begins. So what's your take? Is a model like Kimi K3 a brilliant act of engineering, or a copy dressed up as a breakthrough? And can you even own an idea once a machine has learned it? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to understand the lab that started all of this, the cheap, disruptive model that nearly ended Moonshot in the first place? That's our next video. The strange, sudden rise of DeepSeek. That's the global economy, decoded